Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. It's been a couple of years since Daniel Dubois got knocked out by Oleksandr Usyk, nearly a couple of years, and it was a one-sided fight pretty much. And there was that sort of fake controversy about was it or wasn't it a low blow, completely fabricated, I think, by Frank Warren, Don Charles, and all of those who had a vested interest in Screaming Blue Murder that Dubois had been somehow badly done by. He wasn't. It was a one-sided fight. Usyk pretty much dominated a very, very heavy-handed, probably physically stronger opponent, diffused him and then knocked him out. So it was one-way traffic. And of course, the rematch between Usyk and Dubois has been, it's kind of an open secret that it's going to be announced. A lot of people are saying that they don't agree with this, that they want Joseph Parker to face Usyk next. And I'm not without sympathy for that view, because although I think the way Dubois has come back very, very impressively from being knocked out by Usyk, and he scored, several very good wins. Nevertheless, if you go back to when Joe Parker was being shattered by Joe Joyce and knocked out very badly, for him to come back the way he has and, rebuild almost from the floorboards up, right up to the point where he was actually supposed to fight Dubois, as we know. It was an 11th hour pullout by Dubois due to illness. The British Boxing Board of Control had their doctors look at Dubois and said, you've got XYZ, whatever the official diagnosis was, you can't fight. I'm not a conspiracy theorist who believes that Dubois pulled out because of this fight. I think he was prepared to fight Parker. I think it's wherever you get anything that's theoretically a conspiracy theory, people jump on the bandwagon without a shred of evidence. And if you don't agree with that statement, don't argue with me, argue with the board's doctors. They said Dubois couldn't fight, so he didn't fight. Now, should he be rescheduling the fight with Parker? Yes, in my opinion. I was hoping that's what would happen, that Dubois would say, and his team would say, okay, sorry about that, I was ill, I'll have you next, Mr. Parker. We'll reschedule it and we'll get it on, and then the winner can have Usyk. But unfortunately, that's not the way it's gone. And I do think, perhaps a little unfairly, Daniel Dubois' reputation has been hurt by that pullout. If he'd rescheduled the fight with Parker, I think people would have said, okay, he's rescheduled it. Maybe he was ill, but of course, by not doing that, you leave the door open for all sorts of conspiracy bullshit. I do think, though, that Joe Parker deserves something. I mean, he's been pretty much left out in the cold now, unless he gets the winner of Usyk versus Dubois. And it has to be said, Usyk versus Dubois, the rematch, is an undisputed fight. So it might end up being good for Parker, because the winner of that fight will have all four belts. And then if Parker does get a shot at the winner, he'll be fighting for all four belts. Deservedly so, I think, because I think Joe Parker has earned it, has earned that title shot. He's earned his day in the sun by rebuilding very, very impressively under Andy Lee, scoring a string of very good victories, and kind of reinventing himself, hasn't he? I like Joseph Parker a lot. I really do. I think he's a very, very good fighter. And I like Dubois. I like the way Dubois come back from, essentially quitting against Usyk. And the fact that he does want Usyk again, the fact that he's saying, I want to rectify the wrong. I mean, the low blow thing was a load of crap, but having quit, he might think, oh man, I feel really bad now. I've got to get back in there with him. I've got to fight him again. That I understand. That mentality, that shows a good mentality. I want to get back in the ring and I want to rectify the wrong. It's a good way of putting it. So the public, if you look at, I don't go on Twitter, but if the public do seem to be saying they would have preferred it if Parker had got the fight rather than Dubois. But again, it may turn out well for Joe, because he may end up fighting the winner for all the belts. And it's a strange thing, that we often think that, the old cliche, you're only as good as your last fight. That's kind of true. But at the same time, if you look at the very few people look at the long term, they look at the bigger picture, which the bigger picture is, of course, the longer term picture. And they don't realize that sometimes, if you just sit back, wait, see what happens, and then pounce when you're ready, you can actually achieve your goal, a goal, your ambition, way beyond what people expected. I mean, can you imagine if the winner of Dubois versus Usyk does fight Parker and he wins, Parker wins, and becomes undisputed heavyweight champion, which is, stranger things have happened, to put it mildly. But who would have ever believed that when he was getting flattened by Joe Joyce? And look at the state of Joe Joyce's career now. He's lost 4 of his last 5. So it just shows you things can change very drastically. And the ones that take their opportunities are the ones that, build a great legacy. And by the way, can I just point out, I don't feel bad for any. I don't have any bad blood for any of these fighters. I think Usyk is, I admire the man immensely, both as a fighter and a human being. Daniel Dubois' comeback from quitting against Usyk in such a short period of time, 2 years is really nothing, has been laudable. I mean, very, very impressive. And Joe Parker, great, fantastic fighter, great career, been a champ already, might end up as the undisputed champ yet. I wouldn't entirely write him off. So I like all these fighters. I've said it before. You hear a lot of nonsense being talked about the heavyweight division, about how it isn't a great era. I mean, great subjective, isn't it? But it's a very, very good heavyweight era. It's not, and all this rubbish that's talked about, boxing's dead, boxing's dying, boxing's on a life support machine. This can only come from kids who don't know the history of the sport and are just fucking spoiled. This boxing is in a great, great place, as is the heavyweight division. And it's complete rubbish to suggest that boxing is in anything other than a very, very good condition. And by the way, as an aside, it's not all down to Turki Al-Sheikh. The excellent Turkey's done his bit, is continuing to do his bit, but the talent is there. And promoters, whether it's De La Hoya, Warren, Aram, Hearn, they're doing things. They've done a lot of good work. Even though I slag them off, I wouldn't trust any of them as far as I could throw them. I think boxing's in a good place, a very, very good place. But let me know what you think about all the subjects I've touched upon here, because it's been a bit of a sort of random video. We've been, flitting from one subject to another. But if you've got any opinions, leave them below. I'd like to read them. I always like reading your opinions. And if you did like the video, please hit the like button. And thank you again for going over the 6,000 subscribers mark. Thank you, every last one of you. Thank you very, very much. I really, really appreciate it. Let's keep building the channel up. And hey, it's Easter. Happy Easter to all of you. Whatever you're up to, spend it with your family, all that good stuff. And don't do what I do. Eat too many chocolate eggs. I did my weekly shopping this morning. And I wanted to buy some of them cream eggs. You get them like 5 in a pack. Fucking gone, haven't they? I've got a cream egg in the house. Anyway, first world problems, you know what I mean? Talk about being self-entitled. Huh? Anyway, great stuff. Catch you later. Bye for now.